There is a moment in the night when the world goes completely silent, no traffic, no voices, just darkness. And that silence is not empty. It's watching. It's the hour when even familiar places feel wrong, when shadows seem deeper, and every small sound feels too close. Most people are asleep at this time, unaware of what moves around them. But for a few unlucky souls, the night doesn't stay quiet. It listens, it waits, and then it reveals something that should never be seen. These are not campfire stories. These are not urban legends passed around for fun. These are real experiences, told by people who were awake when they shouldn't have been. People who heard something, saw something, or felt something that still follows them. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 unsettling true horror stories that happened in the dead of night. Stories that left the people who lived through them permanently changed. Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones, because these stories belong to the night. Story 1. The knock at 3:17 a.m. This incident took place in an old apartment building built more than 40 years ago. The kind of place where the walls carried stains that never fully washed away, and the stairwells always smelled faintly of damp concrete. The building stood quietly at the edge of the city, surrounded by dim street lights that flickered more than they shone. A man named Amir returned home after a long night shift. He worked security at a warehouse, a job that demanded silence, patience, and long hours of staring into darkness. By the time he reached his apartment, his body ached and his eyes burned with exhaustion. The digital clock beside his bed read 3:17 a.m. He dropped his keys onto the table, kicked off his shoes, and collapsed onto the mattress without even changing his clothes. The apartment was silent, too silent. No distant traffic, no voices, not even the hum of a fan. Just as his eyes began to close, knock, knock. Amir froze. Who knocks on a door at that hour? He sat up slowly, listening. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe exhaustion was playing tricks on his mind. He waited. Nothing. Carefully, he stood up and walked to the door. The hallway light outside was on, casting a dull yellow glow through the peephole. He leaned in and looked. The hallway was empty. No footsteps, no movement. Feeling foolish, he unlocked the door and opened it just enough to peek out. The air outside felt colder than it should have. He stepped out, looked both ways down the hallway. Still nothing. He closed the door, locked it, and returned to bed. As soon as his head touched the pillow, knock, knock, knock. This time it was louder, slower, more deliberate. Each knock felt heavy, as if whoever or whatever was on the other side had all the time in the world. Amir's heart began to race. He swallowed hard and forced himself to stand again. His hands trembled as he reached for the door handle. He opened the door. The hallway was empty, but when he looked down, his breath caught in his throat. Wet footprints. They began right at his doorway and continued inside his apartment. The footprints were barefoot, uneven, and dripping, as if whoever made them had just stepped out of freezing water. They led straight across the living room floor, toward the bathroom. Amir slowly turned his head. The bathroom door was slightly open. A thin line of darkness stared back at him. From inside, a voice whispered, soft, weak, almost pleading, "Please open the door. I'm cold." His vision blurred. His ears rang. Amir felt his knees give out as his body shut down under the weight of fear. He collapsed onto the floor. When Amir woke up, sunlight streamed weakly through the curtains. His head throbbed. For a moment, he convinced himself it had all been a nightmare. Then he saw the bathroom wall. Written in dark, uneven letters was a sentence that made his stomach twist. "I knock every night." The footprints were gone. The bathroom floor was dry. Amir didn't pack properly. He didn't tell his landlord. He didn't ask questions. He left that same week. But residents of the building still report hearing knocks echo through the hallway at exactly 3:17 a.m. Always 3 knocks. Always slow, always patient. Story 2. The Last Passenger Expanded. Salman had been driving a taxi for nearly 15 years, and most of those years belonged to the night. He preferred it that way. Fewer cars, fewer people, less noise. But night driving came with its own rules. After 2 a.m., Salman followed one strict rule he never broke. No unnecessary stops. Too many strange things happened after midnight. That night, a cold wind swept through the empty streets as Salman drove past a stretch of road most drivers avoided. That's when he saw her. A woman dressed in white stood near the curb. Her hair covered most of her face, and her feet were bare against the asphalt. She raised her hand slowly. Salman hesitated. Something about her felt wrong, but against his better judgment, he stopped. She opened the door and sat in the back seat. The moment she did, the temperature inside the car dropped sharply. In a quiet voice, she said, "Take me to Cemetery Road." Salman nodded and drove. The road stretched endlessly ahead of them. Streetlights flickered as they passed beneath them, one by one. The woman never moved, never spoke again. Salman glanced into the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. His heart slammed against his ribs. He slammed the brakes. The car screeched to a stop. He turned around, his breath fogging the air. No one was there. But the seat was wet, ice cold. The taxi meter flickered, then shut off completely. The radio crackled to life on its own. Through static, a whisper emerged. "Last passenger of the night." Salman didn't wait. He drove straight home, shaking uncontrollably. The next morning, he asked local shopkeepers about Cemetery Road. Their faces drained of color. One man finally spoke. "A woman died there 7 years ago, hit by a taxi. White dress, barefoot." Salman sold his taxi the next day. He never drove at night again. He still says, "The last passenger at night is never human." Story 3. The Thing Under the Bed, expanded. Hira had always been a light sleeper. Living in a hostel meant sharing walls, hallways, and silence with strangers. Most nights were filled with distant laughter, whispered phone calls, and footsteps echoing at odd hours. But that night was different. At 4 a.m., Hira woke suddenly. Her room was completely silent. No fan noise, no hallway sounds. Just breathing. Slow, heavy, right beneath her bed. She held her breath and listened. The breathing continued. She told herself it was her imagination, stress, lack of sleep. Then, something touched the edge of the mattress. A hand slid out from beneath the bed. Its fingers were long, pale, too thin. Hira tried to scream. Nothing came out. Her body refused to move. With shaking hands, she turned on her phone's flashlight and leaned over the edge. There was nothing under the bed. No hand, no shadow. Relief washed over her until she looked at her phone. Her camera app was open. A photo had been taken. The photo showed Hira asleep, and beneath the bed, something smiling. She left the hostel that morning. The room remains locked. The warden claims, "Something still crawls under that bed at night."